Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Crafting with Amy. Today I'm going to show you how to use Mod Podge to attach material, or this instance we're going to use paper napkins, to mason jars, and you can make them into like vases, or you can put a candle in them, or they're just really pretty, and it's a little bit different than having to paint a mason jar, which is kind of hard to do, get the paint to stick. So what you need, just a pair of scissors, need the Mod Podge. This is the gloss. They have all kinds of different Mod Podge. Like if you go to the store, there's mattes, and there's, you know, ones just for pictures, and so there's all kinds of Mod Podge, but this is just basic gloss Mod Podge. Then just a smaller, this is the smaller mason jar. You can use a big one if you want to. I use the foam paintbrushes, the hair, or whatever they're called, they have the hair. They get kind of tacky after a while, and I don't know, the sponge seems to do better with the Mod Podge, so I use that. Some type of napkin, any kind of pattern you want or color. These were napkins. The napkins I had, they only had this print on one part of them, so I cut off just the print that I wanted. So and I did four of them, but may not need them all. So just some kind of printed napkin, and I like to keep a rag, wet rag, because this is a very messy craft. I'm going to tell you now that your hands get really sticky. So, and then just, you know, some napkins. So let's get into it. First thing you do, kind of measure like where you're going to want this, you know, how you're going to want it to lay on your jar. So what I do is I'm going to take this right up to the top, and then all this you can just fold under, and the mason jar you can, or I'm sorry, the Mod Podge, you can just glue it right under, so you don't have to cut it off if you don't want to. So once I know where I want my napkins, I'm going to just dip in to my Mod Podge, and I'm going to paint the mason jar first. Okay, just brush it on. I work in smaller sections. I don't just put the whole thing on at once. Just want to get enough of a coat so that it sticks. Okay, so just going to start with my end and kind of line it up and just lay it down. Okay, and it will get wrinkly, you know, it'll dry wrinkly, but you know, it doesn't really matter in the ends. It works out. So okay, I'm gonna lay down, just kind of bunch it together. At the bottom you'll see I just curve it right under and just glue it right on there. So okay, so now I'm going to take more Mod Podge and go right over what I just laid down. And you don't have to do a really thick coat, just put it on kind of thin at first. And you want to be kind of easy, because the thinner napkins, they will tear, so you can kind of just, you know, just dab it on there if you want to. You want enough to just soak it through and cover it, because what this does is it seals it. So after this all dries, it's not going to come off of the mason jar. So of course you can't wash it or anything. You won't want to do that. And you can take your fingers, and if you see wrinkles, you can kind of move around, put out the bubbles, and just smooth it up a little bit if you want to. Smooth down the edges. You want to make sure all the edges are laying down so it sticks. Okay. And if it does tear a little, which sometimes it will, especially as you get around to working on the whole thing, you might pull off your finger or something and it's ripped. Just move the paper back up and just put some Mod Podge over it and it's okay. All right, and I do want to suggest like holding it kind of like this as much as you can, because if you do, like, the more you work around and get it glued on, it does stick more as it dries. So it makes it a little bit easier if you can hold it like this when you're working with it. So, and it might not be possible at times, but it does help a little bit. So, okay, so just fold back what you haven't glued, and then just lay down another coat of your Mod Podge. Okay. Hold it down. See, that did wrinkle a little bit. You can pull it and reposition it. Don't be afraid to, you know, kind of work with it with your fingers. It'll be okay. Even if it rips a little bit, you can fix it. So just kind of smooth it over. And I'm going to go ahead and glue down the rest of it, just because it's a small part, and then I'll go back over it. So and this Mod Podge, if you've ever worked with it, I mean, it goes on, it looks like glue. You know, it looks like it's going to dry white, but it dries completely clear, so you don't even see it once it's all dry. So that's so we'll go back and then go back over the part we just glued down. So just so long as it's all covered. Make sure the edges at the bottom are well covered. Okay. Okay. So it's kind of see how it's going to look. So we'll just keep going. And you don't have to match the seam exactly. I mean, the new one. Just oops. Okay, so you can just kind of lay it. You can let it overlap a little bit if you want to, and just kind of lay it down. There we go. And it does blend in, so you won't even notice really where the new one starts. So okay. You want to make sure that seam is really good and sealed, where you laid the two napkins together so it doesn't come apart. This stuff, I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot to really get a good seal. So okay, make sure the bottom is sealed. Okay, flip it back a little, and then you just keep going around your jar. Okay, so I've gotten to the very end, And if you can see, there's a little gap. So what I can do, I'll sit it up on its rim and take just a small piece of napkin and just put it right in there to fill that gap up so it's all covered. Okay. And there is so much glue on it now that I don't even really have to lay down a base coat. So just kind of, you graft it in there, fill up that space. Perfect. You don't have to get the exact, pattern. It because of the pattern, it's kind of, kind of all over the place. You don't really notice it. So just make sure you cover that last piece, seal that last piece. Okay, so you can go back through at this point and it's already starting to dry a little bit, and if you see any little bubbles or anything standing up that you want down, you can kind of lay it down with your fingers and smooth out a little bit and just look at it in general. So to dry, you want to sit it on its top. You don't want to sit it on its bottom because there's so much glue on the bottom. It will glue to the table and you have the chance of when you pull it up, it pulls all the stuff off the bottom. So let it dry on its top, and I would let it dry overnight, and you'll be able to tell when it's dry. I mean, it'll be completely clear. So so here we have the finished product. It comes out really glossy. You can add ribbon, you can do embellishments, you can even go back over and put jewels or anything you want on it. So that is what it looks like. It would be it's really pretty as a votive because it's kind of almost see-through where the napkin's thin, and the light really comes through pretty and shows up the design really well. So you can do a little vase, put some flowers in it, whatever you like. So that is how you decoupage or Mod Podge a mason jar. So you can do this with napkins. You can do it with tissue paper. I've seen it done with different fabric, even fabric, actual fabric. So there's different ways to do it. So you can look on Pinterest or places like that for different ideas. And the napkins, I just got those at the Dollar Tree. They have really cute napkins, especially like at the turn of the seasons. I think I got these during this is spring. During fall, of course, they'll have like the leaf prints and stuff. So you can find pretty things. Christmas. Okay, so that is the craft for today. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.